really made very many videos before. I'm not really sure how to do it. I guess I should start with my name. I'm Mark. Lived a pretty normal life so far. And the reason why I'm making this is to share a story. I hope it helps. I've shared it with maybe, 10 people up to this point. But it's essentially what happened to me back in July of this past year, so 2024. I guess the events leading up to it was super dark depression, like I know a lot of men my age are going under. So 30s, late 20s, you're just starting your career, starting a family, things like that. Not really sure where your life is headed. Not really sure what a man is, or what a husband is, or a father is, or what that's supposed to be. For not a lack of trying on my dad's part, and I love my dad certainly. And I know a lot of guys are probably going to feel the same way. We love our dads. But I don't think that society has done a very good job of showing us what men are supposed to do and what they're supposed to be. I think some people have a really good guess, and that guess is probably wrong. Like the typical Tates out there, just super masculine males, which I can definitely be at times. I'm not going to be a hypocrite on this video. I'm sure it'll come across people that know me. But just not the right kind of guy you should be. And we're all hypocrites. I'll skip to a little bit of the punchline is, but we're supposed to lead a life like Jesus asked us to. But I'll get to that here in a little bit. Before I got saved back in July, which was the climax, the pinnacle of all the events in my life had led up to at that point. Grew up Catholic. A lot of Catholics out there, at least the stereotypical ones like me, could probably relate. You go to church twice a year, maybe 3 times a year, 4 if you're really good. But you don't feel a very deep connection to the faith. You know the stories. You don't really know how they apply to your life or what they really mean. You don't have a deep connection to God or to Jesus. It's just like a box that you're checking. Pretty hard to lead a godly life, or a life what I think we're supposed to lead, without really having that relationship. But again, how are you supposed to know? Had friends in my life up to that point trying to push me in a direction to have that connection and that faith. And at the end of the day, God kind of found me in the black and pulled me out. And I'll kind of, like I said, get into that a little bit later on. And if this seems rambly, I apologize. If you can't understand what I'm going to tell you, that's okay. It's not for you. But if you have the ears to hear, I hope it helps. Genuinely, I hope it helps. I was told to do this, that I should do this. Never made a video before really on YouTube, so I'm not really sure what to do about this or how to go about it. So again, I apologize if it's a bit rambly at times, but I'll get to it. Again, going back to that, up to July, super depressed. Didn't feel like I was doing very well in my work. My marriage was kind of collapsing in on itself just from my own doing. Nothing crazy, not like cheating or anything like that. It's more of like I didn't know what a husband was supposed to be. I didn't know what a father was supposed to be. I was extremely selfish, and I should have paid more attention to what my wife's needs were. I was more self-consumed with my own fear of failure. I mean, every time I came home, it seemed like an opportunity to fail, not an opportunity to succeed. So pretty dark time. Like I said, I imagine a lot of people can relate to that. But nothing was going well. Wife was pretty exhausted by me, not stepping up to the plate, not leading the household in ways I should have been. And I mean lead, not a boss. I mean like her expectations and mine are now to lead, to ask for her opinion on things, to include her on decisions, not be selfish and just do things and not tell her about it. For small stuff like going out on the weekends with guys and just assuming that she's going to be cool with it and not planning, not having the forward sight to see how things could cause issues. Just minute stuff. It's not the big stuff. And I'm talking to the guys out there. You fail really on the little things. The big things like getting flowers and stuff like that's really great. But that's not what a marriage is. It's a lot of the small stuff that you do and don't do every day. And make your wife your priority, and that will save your marriage. Like, wake up and basically go, how can I make this lady happy? And that's the selfless love that you should have. But anyways, tangent. Dark time in my life. Got really, really bad. I was pretty suicidal at one point, just ideation, not really like going to go through with it or anything like that. Thank God. But just basically the whole no way out sort of thing. Just could not seem to figure out what to do, and was a failure in every sense of the phrase, and just beat down by it every day. Like I said, coming home was just not fun. Going to work was not fun. And actually, I didn't mind my job. I liked the people I worked with. It was just nothing was working. And it culminated. Had a friend reach out in July, said I should come over. I didn't really think much of it. This is the same friend that encouraged me with patience. And a lot of Bible thumpers out there, the one thing that always turned me off from having a relationship with God was they just sit there and thump the Bible at you all the time and just tell you how much of a sinner you are and blah, 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 blah. And they basically get on their high horse of, I go to church every Sunday, therefore I'm a good person. And I hate those people. I think they're the biggest hypocrites in the world. I have no problem calling them out on it. By doing that, you have ruined more people's relationship with Christ than you could ever imagine. Like, wholesale. And he wasn't like that. Really good guy, down to earth, and just simply was always just like, hey, I'd love to talk to you about this, whatever. And we never had to. That was the thing. It's always like he would bring stuff up, and I'd be like, hey, I know the stories. I was raised Catholic. I went to church. I've heard all these things before, and I was philosophically talking to him about them, but it wasn't like a serious like discussion. It was face value more than anything else. Anyways, super depressed, not doing too well, not having a great time. And he called me up or texted me or something, and I had been wanting to go over there and talk to him anyways, just for fun. That's not abnormal for us. This was not out of the blue, seemingly. It wasn't like I felt like what was going to happen was going to happen. Anyways, I basically was like, all right, I'll go over there. Again, my household is a little bit of not a wreck. My kids are doing fine. Like, they barely even know anything's going on. My wife, on the other hand, is like, just go do, just get out, pretty much. Like, go have talk, do whatever you need to do. And I'm like, sounds good, I'm leaving. So I went over to his house and just kind of unloaded everything that was going on, and this story is gonna get nuts. I unloaded everything, got on the phone with a friend of ours. So whenever there's, more than two or more followers of Christ are in the same area, Christ is truly with you, I think is the saying. And if I'm butchering that, I'm a beginner to all this, so please don't hold me to it. But we called a friend of ours, a deep friendship with this guy. He's probably 50s. And always been like a father figure to me. Had some stuff happen in the past. Couldn't go down the pathway that I thought I was going to go down due to an illness. and he helped me get out of it, him and his son. His son is, to this day, one of my best friends, and he's one of my best friends too, despite the age difference. So anyways, gets on the phone, and we basically, just bawling, just crying like crazy, and I basically hit rock bottom. Like, I was done, pretty low point, and unloaded all this stuff onto him, and he basically was like, listen, man, you can't do this alone. You need some help, and the only thing that's going to help you is basically surrendering to God, to Christ, and getting your life together. And so I went over there. This is important, so I'll mention it. I went over there at probably 8 p.m., maybe, just to give you a little bit of a timeline. And then we get through all of this, crying and whatever, and he basically pulls out some lines, and he's like, hey, if you're really ready to surrender, and you have to mean this. This is not like something you just go through the motions on. Like, you're going to have to really surrender to this. And I was like, roger that. And I just unloaded, and it was a prayer. I wish I could find it. I wish I knew the exact words I said. I know this sounds like a pretty memorable experience, but I don't specifically remember all the words specifically. The gist of it was, I give all my problems to you, God. Please help me. I need help. I surrender everything that I am, everything that I have to you, all my problems, all my possessions, everything, so that you can help me. And the story gets wild after that. Up to that point, I'll go back a little bit. There was this word that was in my head, Mephistopheles. And I believe it. I have not read Faust. I do read quite a bit. Went to college and actually paid attention a little bit in high school and knew where the name was from. But at the time when it was repeating in my head, it just a fun word. You have words in your head that you just find fun to say. And I kept saying this all up to that point. It's like 5 days straight, 3 days straight, whatever it was. Up to this point where I go to my friend's house and I'm like, Mephistopheles. It just sounded really fun. And I kept repeating it. And my friend, being who he is, and he's very connected to the religious, spiritual world, I suppose, recognized kind of what it was, and it was a demonic oppression, not possession, but oppression. And I think that was the demon that came out or was there in the following events. But when we're praying and I basically say these words to surrender to God, my eyes are closed. I'm bawling while I'm talking to him. He's hunched over with me, bawling. My other friend on the phone is obviously on the phone. It's not a video call. He doesn't know what's going on. He's bawling. We're all having this powwow spiritual event. And it sounds so silly, but it happened. It was like my vision went to like this blue filter. My eyes are closed. Okay. Can't see anything. The dogs start barking. The lights are going on and off. You know how you can still kind of see when lights go on and off, even though your eyes are closed? Like, you can still pick up on that. But my brain vision, if you want to call it that, this blue tinted film, sees this like 6 foot, 7 foot black demonic looking thing with red eyes. I mean, just the blackest black. The blackest black you could ever imagine. Like, closing your eyes isn't even enough. So dark. It's like looking into space almost. It's got these red eyes. It's just in his kitchen. His dogs are barking. Lights are going on and off. Inside the house, I didn't look at my friend, but I like pointed my head in his direction. Still, my eyes are closed. And I was like, there's something in your kitchen. And he goes, I know. And he basically says, get out of my house. I banish you in Jesus' name to leave. And it goes outside. I feel this immense clarity. I just kept repeating the word clarity over and over again, like a goof. But that was the only word I could think of. Just clarity, extreme clarity. It was like the light in the room got brighter, the world got clearer. I can't even describe, other than clarity, what this felt like. I don't know what that was. I know the people who will hear this and believe me or can relate to it will understand, and the people that won't will just say it's endorphins from you crying your butt off, dude. Like, it's nothing more than that, and it could have been. I don't know. I can only tell you what I went through and what it seemed like to me and what happened. So remember back, so I got there at probably 8. I thought I was there for maybe an hour or two. I looked up and it was probably 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. My wife is still up. She's worried. I haven't texted, I haven't called, obviously, because I'm, been dealing with all this stuff. Talked to my friend more about it. My eyes essentially at this point had been completely opened. Like I said, the whole world just was clear. Best way to put it again is like drinking the best cup of coffee you've had in your life, and like you basically can see all of the things better. Like, I don't know. Talked to him about what happened and realized how late it is. Texted my wife saying, hey, I'm headed back. And so I get in the car and I go home. And when I left my house, my marriage was in shambles, like rock bottom, not going well. And when I got home, like, my wife was happy to see me, and really happy to see me, and went to bed soon after, and everything was different. Marriage was different. I read the Bible for the first time, really. I tried to read the Bible before that, but it was like, it's like having ADD, where your eyes keep going and the words don't exactly get put in your brain, right? You read maybe a few lines, and then you start trailing, and you just don't really retain anything. There was like this yearning to read the Bible, and the words made sense for the first time. And I wanted to read every day. I wanted to have this relationship, and things would come to me, phrases that would help. The one thing I will say that the best advice he gave me was, hey, and this is in the Bible too, you can read it. I'm going to paraphrase like crazy. But basically, whenever one demon is sent away, 7 can take its place. Basically, meaning when the man of the house has swept his house, made everything clean, kicked out all the demons, if he doesn't maintain this house, that demon will go in the desert, find 6 more, 7 more, whatever it is, and they will come back and wreak real havoc. I maintained my house. Sure, I slipped a couple times, a few times, like we all do, and I don't read the Bible, for a day or a week at a time or something like that, but I've always maintained a really strong relationship. I pray all the time, pray for my family, pray for people I know, pray for me. That's a huge deal. Believe it or not, I was the type of guy before that point that I thought if you didn't do it yourself, it didn't count, whether it was the grades I made in school or whatever. Like, if I got a tutor, I felt like I didn't actually earn that grade. It doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. The way I grew up, my brain thought that. And now I always ask for help. Always ask for help. Always give everything you can to God. That's what he wants us to do. Like, he wants our problems. And it wasn't obvious to me until that event. And the reason I'm trying to share this story is, again, just to try and help. I hope I am. I hope this does help anybody who's in the black. I can promise you without a shadow of a doubt, God will always find you in the black. Always. If you just ask. Always. I I know how low you can go. Um, I know how bad it feels. And I get it. And God will always help you. Always. The timing may seem funny. Things happen in your life that if you don't pay attention or care, you'd be surprised how many coincidences you'll see. Just weird stuff. Like if you pay attention, the people that you meet in your life, the videos you watch, the stuff you read, you'd be surprised how often God reaches out to you and tries to connect. And if you just pay attention, I think you'll see how often that really is if you just keep an open mind. But again, that's the story. It's a pretty wild, eventful night. The only thing I would add on is that night, the lights on and off outside were flickering as well. My friend, he said that he had some pretty rough demonic attacks, him and his wife in the house for like a few days after that event. I had some demonic attacks at my house. There's ways to deal with that. You know, if I feel called to, or if there's a need to make another video, I'm happy to try and walk people through that. You know, things you can say, things you can do. But the point of this video is really to just go through this event. I was asked to do it. I'm happy to do it, happy to share it. I hope it helps. You'd be surprised how many people are not alone in this, is what I've noticed with a few people I have shared this story with. It sounds insane. It doesn't make any sense. But I have seen a real demon in my life, and it sucks. And a lot of them don't want you to know that they're there. Because if you don't think or care or know that they're there, they can ride that train all the way home. And they want you to fail. 10 times out of 10, they don't want you going to God to ask him for help. They want to keep you in the black. They want you to feel alone and by yourself, and that you don't have any friends and you don't have anyone that'll care about your story or whatever else. And first and foremost, God cares. Always. You can always ask for help, and he'll always come to you. And if it takes what I went through, because it did, if I'm being honest, I never would have probably come to God if it didn't happen that way. I guess I'm a drama queen or whatever else, but I was just white knuckling life so hard and just grabbing that steering wheel with everything I had and said, if I can't figure this out, no one can. And that's just not true. As soon as you give it to God, you'd be surprised how much your life just turns around miraculously. But again, I hope this helps. I'm not sure when I'll share it. I'll review it and make sure it looks good. But good luck.